Hello everyone, I hope you've been enjoying your day so far. I pulled out some cards just to get the energy going at first, to kind of sit with it a bit. I haven't pulled out many, only three. And first off, Five of Swords came out, and then this is only specific to the deck that I have. It's not a typical Rider-Waite card or whatever, but this one and another card can come out, and this is kind of like that mother nurturing kind of caring energy, and that came out together with the Ace of Cups. So I'm almost feeling like these are like two paths that you could go on, and at the bottom of the deck we have the Page of Cups. So how I'm reading this is there may be an offer coming in very soon. What that offer is, I can't tell you, obviously. Well, maybe I can, who knows, we'll see where this goes, but I'm seeing this like fish here in the cup, and it tells me that it is like an offer that will invoke some kind of emotion, whether that, it'll invoke some kind of emotion. Perhaps maybe it's an offer you've been expecting for a while, or something that you're not expecting, and I feel like the way I'm reading this, it could go two ways to how you respond to that offer. Either you could kind of like try to win the situation, which to me is kind of saying like more like from an ego place, possibly. Obviously you choose, you decide, it's up to you, but I'm kind of seeing this clearly in the energy. Like you could be like, oh, I'm going to be the bigger one here, and I'm just going to reject this offer, and they're going to walk away because you rejected the offer, and you think you won, but really it was just kind of the ego that won, and that's usually not a place that we want to be in. At least I can speak for myself with that. So you could feel like you beat the people in the situation and the people that are bringing in the offer, and your ego could feel a little bit more inflated through that. Like no judgment, but at the same time, like be sure to truly acknowledge this offer that's coming in. Maybe don't reject it right away. In the end, you decide, you choose. Just because you say no does not mean you're automatically in this energy. But your first initial reaction, which is usually the ego that reacts, you could feel this coming on. And I'm seeing this as the second way, or like the other path that you could be taking when this offer comes in, which seems like a really like good and light energy. It's like this more of like a nurturing, caring, kind of understanding where they're coming from kind of place. You know, you're seated, you're grounded, you're in your own energy, and you have this overflow even, you know, possibly out of this offer or already. And it could be that you wanted to initially say no, or maybe at first you're like, ah, fuck this, like, come on, I'm like, you know, like, because your cup is now beginning to overflow, and technically you don't need nobody, or you don't need no offer. And I don't mean to say it in like a, like I am saying it kind of in a judgy way, you know, but I feel like this message needs to come through, that if an offer does come up, be sure to really think about it. I'm getting some really good vibes with this. So if it's coming from a place where you're like, whatever decision you make, where it's like very strong reactions, and you saying to yourself, oh, I gotta be the bigger one in this situation, and so on and so forth, like when it's like more of coming of like a stronger reaction, it's a big sign that it could be the ego speaking. And this energy, I feel like, is more of like this like softer, nurturing. It's like when the kid wants ice cream, the mom doesn't like scream at it and say like, I mean a good mom wouldn't scream at it and say like, get your own ice cream and blah blah blah, you know, like you would just say, hey, before dinner, like, you know, it doesn't even necessarily mean it's a yes or a no, but it's kind of just like coming from like this like mothering aspect, but in a positive sense, not like you're mothering yourself, your inner child, you know, in a beautiful way, instead of letting that child inside of you act out. And when you kind of take that like observatory, mothering your own inner child kind of energy, you stay into this overflowing state, you know, you get even more out of it because you acted from a place of groundedness. see what else wants to come through. What will happen? Or actually, I don't like to read in the future. I just tend to like get deeper into the energy already, so I'm not going to even ask necessarily what the outcome is or what's going to happen, but let's go with some advice that you need to hear. What is some advice that the collective needs to hear? We have this card here. Ooh. Anything else? Oh, okay, interesting. So first card to come out was the King of Swords. So this person could be, if it is a person, it kind of is coming through that way right now. Or a situation will clarify. Yeah, not necessarily like either a person is going to come in with a hard or strong truth. Hard not being negative at all. It's just going to be kind of like boom, like it's going to shock you a bit. Or a situation is going to clear up very, very like vividly. Like it's like if a fog was there, that fog's lifted and it's just all clear. You know, some kind of clarity is coming in from like an empowered kind of state. And what came through after that is the Five of Wands and the Queen of Wands. So again, there's like this Queen of Wands has this fire energy, you know. She's just like very and she knows what she wants. She knows she's gonna go get there and she's gonna get it and whatever, you know. She's very intuitive, but like she's got some oomph to her, you know, which is a great thing. I think I actually love that, you know. It's I really like one of this card here. That fire can clash with yourself and those around you possibly. Because people aren't used to someone with that kind of fire that you have inside, you know, and so it could create some conflict. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying diminish your fire. Someone can't handle your fire, someone can't handle your fire, you know, but at the same time, take your ego out of it. There's a difference with having a divine fire and having an ego fire. That is a big, big, big difference. Maybe a small, subtle shift, but the outcome and the effects of that are massive, you know? And so when conflict comes in, which is kind of inevitable, depending on if this is about a situation or a person, this Five of Wands card, it's kind of like they're all holding up these wands, but they're not really like, it's kind of just like an old couple that bickers, you know. It's just like they're not really wanting to harm the other person, but they're kind of like me. You know what I mean? So it's like conflict is there, but it's not like a life or death kind of conflict where you're like, oh my god, this is tragic. It's like, it's just like these little like tiny like specks that can be easily resolved, you know. But I'm clearly seeing if you come here with the ego kind of fire, this could blow up. Also seeing the Devil at the bottom of the deck. Recognize that ego fire and that ego fire, let's call it, can definitely come from a place of fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of not feeling seen, not feeling heard, and so you feel like you have to it out, you know, which often has the opposite effects. So tap into this energy that on the throne kind of knows what she got, but at the same time like won't let herself like get walked all over on, but at the same time like also embodies that like caring, nurturative energy, you know. And with the Black Cat, like use your intuition, use your fire as well, but the divine kind of fire, and you can access that divine fire through your intuition. Also, I'm getting a lot of solar plexus energy here, kind of from like your own inner divine will, and not necessarily from a place of solar plexus overdrive where it's like almost like arrogant, you know. I feel like I'm a fire sign, so I would know. I feel like sometimes if you got a lot of fire in you, it can come across as not necessarily arrogant, but it can, like, when it's operating in a space of the combination of fear being involved, then it can turn into a bit of arrogance, you know? It can come from a place of not empowerment, but actually fear of losing that empowerment. 10:01 as I say that pretty much. And so big confirmation with that. And so in this new cycle you're in, you know how to use that fire from a divine state and not from a reactive space, you know? And so do that and you will ease through these like little mini conflicts where it's like me. But no, you say what you want, you know what you want, you say what you're expecting, but not from a place of like the devil energy of like ego or fear or any of that, you know? Let's see if anything else wants to come through. Ooh. 2 cards. Ooh, yeah, okay. It's pretty much kind of repeating the energy. I'm just going to pull out just a bit. Ooh, yeah, okay. Got some there. So, we got the Devil and the Empress that came out together. So, with this, it's kind of like similar energy, you know? You could choose to be the highest embodiment of the Empress, or you could kind of choose to go down like the fear path. And it's, in the end, it is a choice, but usually this comes through in our unconscious without us even realizing it, you know? If this has anything to do with a person, I'm just saying that because of these like chains that are here on the Devil card. You could tend to want to react in a way that's like coming from a place of attachment, and not necessarily of your highest embodiment, you know? So you have a choice here, but be cautious, especially when this offer comes in. Are you acting from a very divine, empowered space within yourself, or from attachment? And that's also a big thing, you know? So don't be too quick to say yes or no right away. Kind of sit on it a little bit and make sure you're acting from the place of the Empress. And I'm seeing when you do that, pretty much, that celebration comes in. Regardless of what your decision is, as long as you're stemming from this place, then you're going to have the right decision for you, you know? These aren't necessarily yes or no cards, you know what I mean? Like, I guess you could technically like look up the definition yes or no, but it's not how I'm seeing it. It's like, it's the right answer depending on what answer comes through when you're in this when you're in this kind of energy. So just be cautious of that, because the Five of Swords energy and the Devil energy could tend to like lift up because there's a lot of emotions involved, just like we saw in the Page of Cups or we were speaking about earlier. So like I was saying, regardless of your decision, celebration would come in, you know? And perhaps you are kind of standing at this crossroads of sorts. I kind of don't want to say crossroads because I know how annoying that can be sometimes. Because like, when are you not at a crossroads sometimes, you know? But I see you like kind of looking out at this water here, and you've got this like pure sense of like divinity. I'm seeing these like white tulips here in the background at the bottom of his foot, you know? So like your root, your stem is like stemming from a place of like pure innocence, but not in the sense that society maybe wants to believe, but more from like a place of your divine innocence, you know, wanting the best for people and wanting to share your light, share your magic. And from that place you can choose, pretty much you can choose from there where you want to go, you know. This could represent your external world or also your internal. You could choose to climb the mountains on the inside, or jump into the subconscious, or it could be many things, you know. But in the physical, I am getting that someone may be going overseas or traveling in some sense, kind of just like having that world, that globe in your hand and being like, where could I go to next, you know? And yeah, you're gonna be like grounded in this decision, but just know in the end half the battle is, or not half the battle, but how do I say this? It's not necessarily where you go, but what you bring with you. So yes, environment does play a role. That's why I was saying something with half, you know, like environment does play a role, but it really, you can't run away from yourself and that's like, and you also bring yourself with you, which is also a great thing, especially when you're empowered within yourself and you're happy with your decisions and how you act from a place of being grounded and secure. Yeah, and so standing in that power with that wand, just like the Queen of Wands here, you take that fire and you let it lead you wherever you need to go, you know, whether that's an internal journey or an external journey. Yeah. And this is Seven of Cups. This is exactly why I don't read into future that much. It can be that I could pick up onto energy that's like possibly incoming, you know, like the kind of like the essence of it, but I really, really try my best to never read outcomes. Just because, one, it can kind of like manipulate our energy into thinking or expecting that something will happen, or create fear that something will happen, you know, depending on what card comes out. And so I like to leave that open, because in the end we create our reality. I'm not going to tell you what your future is. Like, I can kind of like guide what is going on, or like what may be possibly coming in, but in the end you decide from there. And anyone who tells you what your future is going to look like or what to do, not their place. You know, this is a collective reading. We're so different, yet so similar at the same time. I get that. But I think it's very dangerous and can come from a place of wanting power and authority, and recognition to tell you what your life is going to look like, because no one can besides you. And it's kind of my tandem on this Seven of Cups, pretty much Spirit confirming that anything lies ahead. No one can tell you if it's all going to be great or it's all going to be bad. No need to go into extremes, obviously, you know, nothing is only good or bad, you know, there's not even such thing as good or bad if you want to get technical on it. But because how many times has a situation in your life been quote unquote maybe not positive or on the lower end of the spectrum, but it was actually exactly what you needed and brought you to an even more positive place than if you were to initially get that positive outcome. Feel what I'm saying? So regardless, know your power. Know that regardless of what comes your way, you got it. You got it. You can transmute anything below negative or anything below neutral, you know, any negative circumstances. It just gives you fucking substance to work with, you know? So trust that you got it, because you do. And know if good comes, amazing. Embrace it. Enjoy it, because you know it's not going to last forever, you know? And if maybe not so positive things come, that's maybe a lesson that not even just maybe, that is. Ooh, got a Spidey on me. Transformation right there, baby. But regardless of what the outcome is, know you got it. Like I said, if it's below neutral, you got substance to work with. And if it's something positive, it's amazing. And that does not by any way mean that you did anything to deserve the outcome. You know what I mean? Maybe I won't go down that route, but just because something doesn't work out perfectly just the way you imagined it or planned it to be, does not mean you did anything wrong, is what I'm trying to say, you know? Yeah, if something great comes in, be grateful. If not, you got it. You can transmute it, and you're going to make something even greater out of it, you know? So I think that's all. Oh, I love this. So sometimes I get called to like random, like when I put my deck down, like random cards that kind of stick out, and I kind of get called to those. And here, the High Priestess and the Wheel of Fortune was kind of poking out at me. And the sun in the back, I just realized. That's amazing. Yeah, these are actually exactly the card, not exactly, but some of the cards that came out in the last reading. King of Pentacles poking out as well, but I'm going to stop there. But you definitely have an offer coming in, and choose the way your gut tells you to, but make sure to sit on it and make sure that that's coming from your true divine inner space and not from any egoic reactions. Love you so much, and see you later.